Recently, Donald Trump has been making headlines for all sorts of reasons. His political opinions, some pretty controversial comments, and various actions are always buzzing in conversations. But one of the juiciest topics has been his marriages. Over the years, he's been married to not one but three different women, with his latest wife being none other than former First Lady Melania Trump. Unlike his previous two marriages, it looks like he and Melania are still going strong after nearly 2 decades together. While lots of folks are curious about the secrets behind their lasting relationship, many are also wondering how Melania feels about Donald's ex-wives. At the age of 54, she's finally spilled the beans on her thoughts about the women who came before her, and let me tell you, it's a bit shocking. Donald's first wife. Donald Trump has been making waves in the headlines for his marriages for about 30 years now. But not everyone knows the real story behind his past unions. It all kicked off back in 1976, when the Trump empire was just starting to take shape, and Donald wasn't yet a household name. Back then, he was just your average wealthy guy, known enough to be recognized, but not famous worldwide. One day, he walked into a restaurant and spotted a stunning woman named Ivana sitting with some friends. He was so taken with her that he decided to snag the priciest table in the place just to get her attention. At the time, Ivana was living in Montreal, working as a model and a part-time ski instructor. She had moved to Canada from Czechoslovakia a few years earlier, but when she met Donald, she was in New York City for a modeling gig. While enjoying dinner with her fellow models, Donald caught sight of her and made his move. After getting that fancy table, he asked if he could join their dinner party, and they all started chatting and getting to know each other. According to Ivana, Donald must have realized that flirting wasn't going to win her over, so he switched gears and played the gentleman card, which seemed to do the trick. Ivana later revealed that she was casually seeing someone back in Montreal and wasn't really looking for anything serious at the time, but Donald definitely changed her mind. He made such a strong impression that she couldn't resist him. Once she said yes to him, he whisked her away on a bunch of trips, surprised her with 100 roses during one getaway, and treated her to fancy dinners. When she got back home, he made sure to call her every other day for 3 whole months. There was even a moment when he flew all the way to Canada just to surprise her while she was walking in a runway show. So it's no wonder that Ivana started getting more and more interested in Donald. As she grew more intrigued, her desire to be with him also ramped up. Around Christmas time, Donald asked if she wanted to join him on a vacation, and they packed their bags for a romantic getaway in Aspen. This trip was different from the others. Donald took the opportunity to propose to her in a rather outrageous way. In his own words, he told Ivana that she had to marry him unless she wanted her life to be ruined. Classic Donald, right? But somehow, his dramatic approach convinced her to say yes, even though they had only been seeing each other for a few months before he popped the question. Fast forward 3 months later, on April 9, 1977, the couple tied the knot at Marble Collegiate Church in New York City. After their wedding ceremony, they jetted off to Mexico for their honeymoon. It was during this trip that Ivana had a surprise of her own. She found out she was pregnant with their first child. By December 31, 1977, which happened to be the first anniversary of their engagement, she gave birth to their son, Donald Jr. They didn't stop there. They went on to have 2 more kids, Ivanka in 1981 and Eric in 1984. From the outside, it looked like their marriage was going great. They seemed to be the perfect match, living the dream life together. Ivana would later admit that Donald wasn't really present in their kids' lives until they were old enough to start talking business, but at the time it didn't bother her too much. Their relationship was so solid that they ended up becoming business partners as well as life partners. Interestingly, Ivana was a key player in building the Trump empire and had a massive impact on shaping the organization into what it is today. She got involved right after they tied the knot, and Donald wasted no time in appointing her as the Vice President of Interior Design at the Commodore Hotel, which he had recently acquired and was turning into the Grand Hyatt Hotel. From that moment on, Ivana was all in, helping Donald grow his real estate empire. She even lent a hand with the construction of Trump Tower and the Trump Taj Mahal Casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Her hard work eventually paid off when she became the president of the famous Plaza Hotel. As far as business, money, and fame go, they were the ultimate power couple of their time. Unfortunately, their marriage only lasted 12 years. In 1989, Ivana got the shocking news that turned her world upside down. Donald had always been a bit of a ladies' man, but Ivana thought that once he settled down and started a family, he'd finally calm down. Boy, was she wrong. After dedicating 12 years of her life to their marriage, Ivana discovered that Donald was having an affair with another model, Marla Maples. It seems Donald really had a type since Marla was also a model just like Ivana. Ivana later recounted in her memoir, Raising Trump, that she learned about the affair during a family trip to Aspen. She ran into Marla outside a restaurant while the rest of the family and other patrons looked on, and that moment made everything so much more real. According to Ivana, one day a young blonde woman approached her out of nowhere and introduced herself as Marla, declaring that she was in love with Donald. To make matters even more awkward, Marla then asked Ivana if she was also in love with him. Ivana was so taken aback that she could barely react. She firmly told Marla to back off and insisted that she loved her husband. But that interaction left her in shock, and it only got worse when their heated exchange made the news. Despite Ivana trying to shake it off so the family could enjoy the rest of their trip, she knew deep down that their marriage was done for. Fast forward to March 1990, and Ivana officially filed for divorce. A few months later, she stepped down from the Trump Organization. The divorce was a real mess, dragging on for about 2 years. Ivana had signed a prenup that limited her divorce settlement to a whopping $25 million. But her attorney argued that it was unfair and even fraudulent, hoping Ivana could claim more based on her contributions to the Trump empire. Given how public and messy the divorce was, many expected some bad blood between the two. Surprisingly, though, after everything settled down, they found a way to co-parent amicably and even stayed friends over the years. In fact, Ivana was at Donald's presidential inauguration in 2017, proving they maintained a good relationship. Former White House aide Omarosa Manigault Newman even revealed that Donald often sought Ivana's advice while in office. Sadly, Ivana passed away on July 14, 2022, at the age of 73. Donald spoke highly of her, calling her a wonderful, beautiful, and amazing woman who lived an inspirational life. It's a bittersweet note, especially considering he still had an affair while they were still legally married. Donald's second wife. You might think that after splitting from Ivana, Donald would give Marla a bit of space, especially since she played a role in their breakup. But nope. Instead, things with Marla really took off, and their relationship blossomed, reaching new heights. Even amidst the media frenzy surrounding his family and the dramatic divorce, Donald kept seeing Marla. And just when everyone thought the dust would settle, they dropped a bombshell. Right after the divorce was finalized, they announced that Marla was pregnant. Their daughter Tiffany was born in 1993, and just a few months later, Donald and Marla tied the knot. Unfortunately, their marriage was short-lived, ending just 3 years later. Donald first met Marla back in 1985 when he was still married, so their relationship started off as a friendly one. But as time passed, a secret romance blossomed between them. By the summer of 1989, they could no longer keep it under wraps. They became more open about their relationship, and Marla was often seen by Donald's side. At one point, she even moved onto his yacht, the Trump Princess. What's wild is that Marla knew Donald was married, but instead of stepping back, she felt she loved him too much to let go. She later admitted that she never really saw herself as just a mistress. Talk about complicated. According to Marla, she prayed for divine guidance every step of the way in her relationship with Donald, expressing to God that she didn't want to be involved in anything that lacked a chance for success. It seemed her prayers were answered when they eventually married. Marla wished with all her heart that their relationship could have begun after the divorce papers were signed, but that wasn't how it unfolded. She believed that everything happened in a specific way to ultimately lead them to marriage. Their affair, once just speculation, became front-page news following Marla's infamous confrontation with Ivana in Aspen in 1989. Reports indicated that Donald had flown Marla out to Aspen, where his entire family was vacationing. However, Marla's version of the event differs from Ivana's. According to Marla, while she was at lunch with Donald, Ivana and Donald had a heated argument that shifted the focus onto her. Ivana, in a dramatic turn, called out Marla's name and accused her of being the woman who had been loving her husband for years. Eyewitnesses reported that Ivana expressed her love for Donald and insisted that Marla stay away from him and their family. But Marla didn't heed that advice. Less than a year later, she asserted that she had stayed involved because Ivana wasn't being truthful. She claimed that Donald often confided in her about his unhappiness in his marriage. Allegedly, Ivana frequently urged him to work on their relationship and not to give up on their family, but ultimately it wasn't enough to salvage their faltering union. The year of Donald and Marla's divorce was a media frenzy, forcing Marla to spend 2 months evading photographers. Despite her efforts to stay out of the spotlight, she couldn't escape the tabloids, even landing a controversial quote on the cover of the New York Post, which she later denied ever making regarding her intimate life with Donald. In the years following their tumultuous relationship, Marla and Donald dated on and off, but everything changed in 1993 when Marla became pregnant with their first child, Tiffany. Marla described Tiffany's birth as the greatest unplanned surprise of all, which prompted Donald, who had previously vowed never to marry again after his split from Ivana, to tie the knot with her. On December 20th, 1993, Donald and Marla exchanged vows in an extravagant ceremony at the Grand Ballroom of the Plaza Hotel. Despite Marla's desire for a small wedding, the event attracted around 1,000 guests, including notable figures such as Howard Stern, Rosie O'Donnell, and O.J. Simpson. Marla wore a stunning Carolina Herrera gown and a $2 million Harry Winston tiara, making it a spectacle to remember. Unfortunately, their marriage was short-lived. Just 3 years later, in May 1997, they separated. Marla cited differing worldviews and parenting philosophies as key factors in their split. She admitted to feeling uncomfortable with the extravagant lifestyle, likening her role as a wealthy wife to playing a part rather than living authentically. Following their split, Donald and Marla spent the next 2 years entangled in a contentious divorce process. Although Marla had signed a prenuptial agreement, she contended that she hadn't been given adequate time to review the terms before signing. After battling in court to contest the agreement, she ultimately decided to walk away from the drawn-out legal struggle to spare herself further emotional and physical distress. In an intriguing twist, more than 2 decades later, a copy of their prenup was leaked, revealing that because they had been married for less than 5 years, Marla was entitled to only $1 million plus an additional $1 million for purchasing a home. After the divorce, she found herself in a difficult financial position, having to auction off her engagement ring and other belongings to make ends meet. Marla often remarked that she found it amusing when people assumed she walked away with a significant fortune. In reality, she left with just a couple of $1 million and her dignity, whatever remained after her involvement with a married man. Despite the tumultuous end to their marriage and the ensuing chaos, Donald and Marla managed to maintain a friendly rapport. They even reunited for an appearance on Oprah Winfrey's show, Where Are They Now?, in 2013, during which Marla expressed that she still held affection for Donald, as well as for his children, Eric, Ivanka, and Donald Jr. In a surprising turn of events, they celebrated Easter together in April 2033. While navigating the complexities of his divorce, Donald was also expanding his social circle, mingling with friends and meeting new people, including his future wife, Melania Trump. When Donald is still suffering with the aftermath of the breakups of his previous relationships, it appears that he is most likely to meet the people who will become his future companions. Following the conclusion of his relationship with Marla, he developed a friendship with Melania, which eventually developed into a romantic relationship that lasted for a number of years before they finally tied the knot in 2005. He was born the following year, and his name is Baron. Since then, Melania has been by Donald's side during his various legal endeavors, including his run for office, his time spent living in the White House, and his several court cases. People are curious about how they went about meeting each other and what it was about Melania that Donald found attractive, particularly considering the fact that they are of different ages. At a gathering in New York City in the year 1998, they had their first encounter with one another. Donald attempted to obtain Melania's phone number at that time. However, she declined his request, primarily due to the fact that he was associated with another woman. Donald did not hesitate. He was confident that he would be successful in swaying her opinion in the end. The initial encounter between them was not the conclusion of their story. They were able to rekindle their friendship due to the fact that they shared a common interest in music, particularly in the works of artists such as Elvis Presley and Elton John. Melania would recall that Donald would play loud music in their home and then invite her to dance with him, which ultimately resulted in the strengthening of their relationship. The two of them shared a passion for movies, which, in addition to music, played a significant role in their relationship. They enjoyed watching a wide variety of films, ranging from classic plays to westerns. Among the numerous factors that brought them closer together, Melania mentioned that Donald's diversified movie choices were quite similar to her own. This was one of the many things that brought them together. The fact that they shared a lot of pastimes and experiences contributed to the development of a relationship that lasted for a very long time, despite the fact that it was not always simple. Melania and Donald began dating not long after they had their first encounter with one another. Initially, it was speculated that Melania left her relationship with Donald after witnessing an ex-girlfriend leave his apartment. However, the two of them eventually reconciled and rekindled their relationship. Melania stated that she admired Donald and believed he was powerful and good-looking. The New York Post reports that they split up again in the year 2000, but they swiftly got back together. Melania said that she thought Donald was strong and good-looking. Donald was prepared to remarry Melania this time as their relationship continued to improve and conditions were more favorable for him. The Met Gala in 2004 was a highly romantic setting for him to propose to her and ask her to marry him. They exchanged wedding vows on January 22, 2005, at Bethesda by the Sea Episcopal Church in Palm Beach, Florida, following Melania's confirmation of her acceptance of the proposal. A number of well-known individuals, including former President Bill Clinton, Barbara Walters, Governor Rudy Giuliani, and Regis Philbin, were among those who were present at the event. By performing a one-of-a-kind act during their reception, which took place at Donald's Mar-a-Lago estate, Billy Joel ensured that the parties would be unforgettable. In the latter part of that year, when their son Barron was born, Donald was taken aback by the speed with which they had their first child together, but he continued to be quite happy. He stated that he himself had chosen the name Barron. For as long as he could remember, he had longed to give a child this particular name, and he was overjoyed to finally be able to do so. Melania primarily maintained a low profile in the years that followed the birth of Barron, concentrating on the task of raising their son away from the scrutiny of the public eye. Melania managed to keep her independence by pursuing her own business interests while simultaneously supporting Donald's endeavors. This was accomplished despite the fact that she was married to a wealthy man. By striking this balance, she was able to negotiate the problems that come with being a public figure while also putting the privacy of her family first. Donald took the momentous choice to run for president in 2015, publicly announcing his candidacy and beginning his campaign trail. This decision was a significant one. Melania voiced her unshakable support for her husband, declaring that she was 100% in for his political ambitions. Despite the fact that she frequently preferred to stay at home to raise Barron, she had unwavering support for her husband. During the year 2017, it was declared that Donald had won the election, and the Trump family made preparations to move into the administration's residence. Melania made history when she became the first lady to be born outside of the United States since 1829. During her speech, she expressed her wish to set herself apart from the previous first ladies by concentrating on activities that would benefit women, children, and a variety of charitable organizations. In spite of this, Melania and Barron remained in New York City over the first few months of Donald's administration in order to provide him the opportunity to complete the existing school year. Upon the conclusion of the school year, they made the adjustment to life in the White House. Despite the problems surrounding Donald's administration, Melania managed to maintain a relatively quiet profile, although she wasn't fully immune from attention. In spite of the fact that her previous nude images caused controversy, she continued to exude elegance and allure. The couple made a conscious decision to keep their relationship private and out of the glare of the media, despite the fact that she made occasional public appearances and traveled with Donald. 2018 was the year that put this decision to the test when allegations of Donald's extramarital affair were brought back to light. In the days leading up to the election, it was reported that he had paid adult film star Stormy Daniels a sum of $130,000 to guarantee that she would remain silent about their alleged romance. Melania Trump was faced with the challenge of navigating the turbulent waters of public image while simultaneously attempting to support her husband, as the scrutiny around the Trump marriage became more intense as a result of this disclosure. There have been reports that imply that the alleged affair between Donald Trump and Stormy Daniels took place in the year 2006, just a few months after Melania gave birth to their son, Barron. When former Playboy playmate Karen McDougal made the claim that she had a relationship with Donald beginning in June 2006 and ended in April 2007, the situation got even more difficult than it already was. Melania Trump's statement was eagerly anticipated by the public, despite the fact that the White House has on multiple occasions refuted any rumors of adultery. Regrettably, she did not comment on the topic, and reliable sources suggested that she was dissatisfied with the way in which her life had become under the intense scrutiny of the media. There were rumors that she maintained a lifestyle that was independent of Donald, and that she slept in a bedroom that was different from his. The assertion that the couple spent very little time together was made by a friend of Donald's who had known him for a long time. Stephanie Grisham, who is Melania's spokeswoman, later refuted this assertion. Ever since she left the White House in 2021, Melania has, for the most part, avoided the attention of the public. She has made the decision to reside in peace at Mar-a-Lago, the residence that her family owns in Palm Beach. Barron has always been her primary focus, and she continues to make it her primary goal to bring him up. Melania has, for the most part, avoided discussing the legal issues that her husband is grappling with by remaining out of the public eye. A close friend of Melania Trump has stated that she is content with her life at Mar-a-Lago and that she does not discuss Donald Trump's issues with her friends. This information was provided in the year 2023. Despite this, it has been asserted that she is still enraged by the alleged hush money payments that were made to her husband, a topic that she never discusses in public. During the time that Donald Trump is getting set to run for president once more, Melania Trump has largely avoided the spotlight of the political world. On the other hand, she did make a somewhat unusual appearance alongside him in March of 2024. A hazy response was given by her in response to the question of whether or not she would be more involved in his campaign for a second term. She told the gathering to stay tuned. However, it is encouraging to see that she is willing to assist, even though it is not yet apparent how active she will be moving forward. The connections that exist between Donald's present wife and his previous spouses are not just convoluted, but also a little bit unexpected. Despite the fact that Ivana Trump passed away in 2022, it was well known that she did not get along with Donald's previous spouses before her passing. She had a strong aversion to Marla Maples, and she believed that Donald's illicit relationship with her was the cause of the dissolution of her marriage union. When it came to Melania, it was not as if Ivana had a lot of feelings for her either. There was a time when she made a memorable statement in which she stated that she was still the first Trump wife and the original First Lady. Many others interpreted this as a shot at Melania, highlighting the fact that she will continue to play a major role in Donald's life. Melania, on the other hand, appears to have made an effort to reconcile the differences. Despite the fact that there were complications in the past, she has made efforts to bring the former spouses together and to foster respect amongst them. It is noteworthy that she attended the burial of Ivana in 2022 and hung out with Marla at Tiffany Trump's bridal shower. This combination of events may indicate that any issues that existed in the past have been resolved. It appears that Melania is performing quite well in her capacity. During the time when her husband is working toward his political goals, she is concentrating on her family and doing her best to avoid the public eye. Melania Trump has made a limited number of public appearances throughout the year, and these appearances have provided us with some hints about her role inside the Trump family. These occasions make her appear more connected with Donald's ex-wives, which indicates that any conflicts that were there in the past have probably been resolved. Normally, she is reserved and private, but these times make her appear more connected. Ivana Trump never formally stated that she did not like Melania Trump, which is an intriguing fact to consider in light of what she has revealed. The primary reason she was angry at Marla Maples was because she had harbored a long-standing resentment for her. The fact that Ivana did not like Marla was made quite plain. She stated in an interview that she did not like Donald's second wife, which is a contrary statement. Marla, on the other hand, appeared to have a greater comprehension of what was taking place. She expressed her regret that she and Ivana were arguing and was able to empathize with how difficult it must be for Ivana through this situation. On the other hand, their disagreement began when Marla had an affair with Donald while he was still married to Ivana. This was the beginning of their conflict. Because of this, there was a rift that could not be repaired. Melania seems to dodge the majority of the wrath toward Ivana and Marla, despite the fact that they continue to have issues. The relationship appears to have evolved in general, despite the fact that there were instances in which things did not go according to plan, such as when Ivana made the statement that she was the first lady of Donald's life, which some people interpreted as a shot at Melania. The efforts that Melania makes to handle these connections with grace demonstrate how much she cares about her family and the role that she plays in the legacy of the Trump family. There were certain remarks made by Ivana, but Melania's team decided not to comment on them since they believed that Ivana was only attempting to sell her book, which is titled Raising Trump. The representative for Melania gave some indications that Ivana's comments were more about her book sales than they were about any form of competition between the two of them. Following the tragic passing of Ivana, there was discussion on whether or not Melania would attend her funeral. However, surprise! Melania appeared to be far more mature than most people anticipated she would be. The fact that she attended the service is a very telling sign. Her presence gave the impression that she was putting her personal feelings to the side in order to show respect for Ivana and her roles within the Trump family. As for Melania and Marla, it is not entirely apparent whether there was any kind of conflict in their relationship. Nevertheless, it appears that things have been getting better as of late. In spite of the fact that Marla has not spent a significant amount of time with the Trump family, particularly since Donald's ascent to political prominence, Melania Trump's recent meetings with her give the impression that they share a common ground. During the month of November, Melania and Marla were observed attending Tiffany's wedding preparations together. It was an important occasion. The two of them appeared to be content with one another. The fact that Kimberly Guilfoyle, who is engaged to Donald Trump Jr., shared a picture on Instagram with Melania, Marla, and other women from the Trump family smiling and posing together made the situation appear nicer than anyone could have anticipated it would be. During her statement at the wedding, Marla made it a point to express her gratitude to Melania and Donald for all of the assistance they have provided to Tiffany over the years. The statements that she made were seen by some individuals on the internet as evidence that the Trump family was cohesive and that she and Melania were growing closer to one another. In general, people have the impression that the relationships between Donald Trump's three wives are a bit of a jumble, but Melania appears to be all about getting along with everyone. She demonstrates that any old rivalries, if they ever existed, are over by attending funerals and wedding showers. This is one of the ways that she does this. In spite of the fact that their history is becoming more difficult, it appears that the Trump family is continuing to remain together. In light of everything that has transpired, what are your thoughts? Send in your response down below. Remember to subscribe to our channel and give the video a thumbs up so that you are notified when we upload another one.